Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Oh, it was jumping in Norfolk on Friday night. What a doozy it was in overtime. The Norview Pilots outlasting the Lake Taylor Titans, who are no longer unbeaten, 73-66. And you'll hear some sound from that game. You'll watch the game-tying three-pointer from Keon Fats Mitchell, who had 34 points, 13 rebounds, and 7 assists in a very memorable Eastern District battle, which takes us back to many, many moons ago when a guy that used to wear a blue suit and roam the sidelines for the Pilots of Norview, my co-host, the guy rocking the BCAV shirt today for the Basketball Coaches Association of Virginia, and the head man of the Smithfield Packers, who went from a winning streak last week to a losing streak this week. He's known as Edward V. Not in victory this week, Young. Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Not in a good mood today whatsoever. Lost our second in a row. After winning 4 in a row, got off to a horrible start against a very good Lafayette team last night. I think we were down, 8 or 9 or 10, something like that. And the first quarter, we played him even the rest of the way, but their big boys inside just were too much for us to handle. And we didn't do our assignment. 100% our fault. Once again, they didn't do anything that we hadn't seen. But those two big fellas, Tim Burton and Jason Hampton, who did not play the first time we played them, made a big, big difference. Tim is 6'7", Jason's 6'6", about 300-pound football player. And he moves bodies. And they just didn't do our assignment, Ralph. So after winning 4 in a row, lost 2 in a row, we're off till Thursday. We play Bruton Thursday.
Listen, it was all the kids' credit for the 4-game winning streak and all your fault for the 2-game losing streak. Because it's Brad Bradley of Heritage Lynchburg football. The Pioneers told us after that thrilling win on Halloween night when his team beat Liberty Christian. Players win games, coaches lose games. That's how it works in this business.
Those coaches that say that, I if I wore one, I would tip my hat to them. But that's not my philosophy. My philosophy has been from day one. If we tell you, we prepare you for what they're going to do, and you don't go out and do what your job is, that's on you. And we did it in the 4 wins. We and the wins that we had, played some great basketball. Kids played 1 quarter. I think we scored 34 points. I think it was Jamestown, 34-9 first. Did everything right to the point where Jamestown took 2 timeouts. And when our kids came to the bench, I handed them water and towels. And I told the assistant coaches, don't say a word to them. They're doing everything right. Let them go. I just think, fellas, keep it up. Keep sharing the ball. Keep playing your defense. Now, when we don't do right and they come over to the bench, it's a whole nother story. But I've always been the person that says it's the players. Now, if I screw it up, I don't prepare them right. I don't get as much out of them as I think I can do it, then that's on me. But we know where we made our mistakes. And could I have done some different on our changing? I think, number one, I took the press off too early. That was my fault. Probably should have stayed on it. Some lineup changes. That's on coaching. My assistants do the summing with, me saying yes or no. We probably could have done a few things different there. But, we all shared it. We all shared it. And, it's been a roller coaster ride. We're 6-6 right now, and we're trying to do what we can to try to get into regionals at the end of the year.
Well, we have a busy show for all of you today. We're going to be joined by Chuck Culpepper, Washington Post columnist, award-winning writer, I should say, to discuss the College Football National Championship coming up on Monday night with the Hoosiers of Indiana and the Hurricanes of Miami. We've also got scheduled to come on with us at about 10:45 a.m. Eastern, Howard Balzer. He's a longtime NFL expert, Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, and does the Lindy's magazine. I got the Lindy's magazine. He does every year, does the predictions for it for the football. Had Jane Daniels on the cover. Unfortunately, Jane's not playing this time of year. We're down to the final 8, which has the likes of Josh Allen, Bo Nix, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, C.J. Stroud, Drake May, Matthew Stafford, and almost said C.J. Williams, Caleb Williams at the quarterback spots. But we'll dig into the matchups coming up with Howard Balzer. And we've got more and more high school basketball hoop sound and interaction with all of you out there. We're down to just one unbeaten team left in the 7-5-7, Ed, on the boys' side. I don't know that you can name that undefeated team. But you watch that clip, you weren't there in Norfolk like I was. Larry Rabama from the Pilot and I were behind the basket with that overflow crowd. That was an overflow crowd there in Norfolk. You're shaking your head already. All right, spill your guts. You got some thoughts. You have some reaction. You have some things on your mind as we say good morning to Woody out there and all of our interactors, whether you're watching on IG, Facebook, Twitter, X, Virginia Preps, YouTube. Say hello. Send us your questions, your thoughts, your comments, your grievances. Air them for Coach Young and tell him what he's doing wrong, not what he's doing right. Go ahead.
That's true. Yeah, well, good morning to you, Woody. I watched the ending of the game, Lake Taylor, Norview, big one in Norfolk, very big one, two really, really good teams, two very active and intense coaches.
Well, you're going to hear from Ricardo Foster in a moment, and you'll also hear from Keon Fats Mitchell, the star, along with the unsung hero from the overtime, Will Adams. So whenever you want to pause and get some of that sound to collect more of your thoughts, feel free to do so. Go ahead. You want to empty the bucket now. Go ahead. You're already ready to go. And by the way, Woody chimes in. You're going to see that clip too, Woody, of the Kings Fork Nansman game. Now, Nansman lost in overtime on Friday night, but I asked Ed a question, and we'll get to that clip in a second as well. But go ahead. You got some thoughts on your mind before you answer my question I posed to you, which you probably forgot by now, and share your thoughts. Go ahead.
Well,
you're biting your lip. That's not good when you're biting your lip before you share them. Go ahead.
In terms of the undefeated, I'm going to take a wild guess. Lansdowne?
Great guess, but you're incorrect. And by the way, the Lansdowne fans should still be mad at you if you missed it on our TV portion of the program on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which, by the way, you can always check out on Your View and Cox Communications. It shows right there when it comes on. Channel 60. I'm sorry, it shows where it comes on. It comes on Mondays at 8 o'clock Eastern, 12 noon on Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. But we'll put up on the screen for those of you that missed it, our top 5 boys and girls. We might flip it next week, by the way. Ed did the boys, I did the girls. Maybe next week I'll do the boys and Ed will do the girls. But my girls' rankings were as follows: Princess Anne, Menchville, Manor, Kings Fork, Kellam. And by the way, I already got some flack for it. Someone said, how do you have Kellam 5 and they lost to Salem? Well, it's my rankings, not yours. Do your own rankings. And then, by the way, Ed, how do you not have Lansdowne 1? How do you not have Lake Taylor 1? They're undefeated. We're not undefeated anymore. And then you had Norview behind Lake Taylor. By the way, Norview fans, that was your former Pilots coach, Ed Young, from the early 90s, not Matt Hatfield, who has a number 2 in the state in Class 5 behind Albemarle, and Woodside 5th. Those were the rankings there. But you said your undefeated pick was Lansdowne. That's incorrect. They lost 2 games out of state. You're right. You're right in terms of classification, but wrong team, wrong district.
It is Oscar Smith.
Oscar Smith. Who would have had that on the bingo card before the season with what they graduated and lost? Now, I will say this, not going to knock the schedule because they play in the Southeastern District where there's some good teams like Nansman River and Kings Fork, among others. But their schedule is not as fierce as a Hampton or a Woodside or a Norview or a Lansdowne out of league to this point. And they do have Kings Fork coming up on Friday of next week, I think it is. So we'll see if Oscar Smith keeps the goose egg and the loss in goose egg and loss column. They did beat Catholic. They did beat Nansman. They have beaten some decent teams now. They haven't beaten Chops Liver. I mean, now they have also played some teams that are not as strong, which you might call Chops Liver. But so Oscar Smith's the only undefeated team. But go ahead. Give me your thoughts on what you watched there at the end of the game with Keon Mitchell hitting the 3. And by the way, you saw the clip. I'll ask you from a coach's standpoint. This gets asked all the time to coaches and players, especially pro and college. I'm going to throw it to you for high school. End of the game, I'm standing next to Rabama, and I said, Jamari Edwards is an accurate foul shooter. I don't knock the kid at all. He made the first, missed the second. I said if you're up 3 in that spot, because of now the rule, remember, you now in high school, folks, you have 5 fouls, you shoot 2 free throws. It used to be 1 and 1 like the college game. I'm fouling there. I'm not letting a kid like Mitchell, who can beat me from deep, and Norview's got shooters all over the place, and Keon Mitchell, Zamarion Mitchell, I'm fouling there. What'd you think? Would you foul there in that spot on the free throw? Is it too hard in scramble mode transition? Do you discuss it with your guys? Do you practice it with your guys? And what'd you make of the end of that regulation going into the overtime?
Number one, you got to practice it. You can't just make it up in the huddle. I think that's where you have more issues come up. You practice that. If you're down 3, you're up 3, you don't want to chance. Keon Mitchell can hit from 25 fairly easy. Unless you really believe in your defense, go ahead and foul, even if they're going to shoot 2. Now, you're going to have to make sure you get the rebound if they miss, or you look like Play-Doh. You're gonna
you got Play-Doh back there, don't you? You got Play-Doh back there, don't you?
Yeah, I do somewhere back here. I think it's up here somewhere.
All right. There it is. I see Play-Doh. Let's zoom in, folks. There's the Play-Doh. You look like Play-Doh. There it is. There we go. We got it.
That's your sketch. Magic 8-ball that always helps me with my questions.
All right. There you go.
So, I mean, you would do that. A lot of times you don't see so much on the high school realm of things. College is very much so. But on the high school level, you don't really see it as much. But I wouldn't have a problem fouling where I know they've got some shooting. You got to know in that situation, Keon Mitchell's getting the ball one way or the other. If he has to steal it from a teammate, he's getting the ball. And he's looking to put it up because he's a volume shooter. That's what he does. So you in that kind of situation. Now, I'm not going to knock a coach for not doing it, because if you don't, then you got to make sure you've got a man and a half, if not two, on that shooter, because he's going to do it. There's usually somebody on that court of those five guys who you can pretty much leave open. He not getting the ball. B, if he gets it, he's not shooting. So you can get away with that in high school. College, I'm not so sure you can, because most of the guys on that court probably will be able to score it. So it is a strategy move, and it depends on individuals, what they really believe and what they think. A lot of times is the timeout. Should I hurry up and call timeout? And I'm under the belief that if it's in chaos, we get it in and we get moving, because a lot of times the defense remembers don't foul, or the coach is yelling, don't foul, and they either get out of the way or they foul. So I like the idea on offense is to go ahead and take the ball, get it. Hopefully you got to get it to your best guy who get that shot up and go, especially if he catches it on the inbound. Because if you call timeout, somebody says to you, well, why'd you call the timeout? Well, we want to set up a play to get it to our best player. Your best player just had the ball. Now in the inbounds, you don't know if you're going to, A, get the ball inbounds, B, throw it away, C, get it to the right player. D, you're putting more pressure on your team to execute. There might be 3 seconds to go. You're down 1 or 2 or 3. And now you've got to get it. We're in transition. Sometimes you get it to your best player and go with it and live and die by it. So that's how I would do all that in terms of a little coaching aspect. But the Lake Taylor Norview ending, and we haven't seen, there was a little bit of a scuffle, had nothing to do with players. People rushed to court, saw a police officer take a young fellow in a like a headlocker from behind. Full Nelson.
That was with just to people that weren't there. That was with like about 38 seconds to go in the overtime. Norview was up at the time 69-64. They ended up winning 73-66. We had about a 22-minute delay in the OT, and they emptied the gym and made the spectators leave after that, which was unfortunate. And I don't like it to mar. I don't think it really did mar what was a really good, interesting, fierce battle, but in a lot of respects, people are still buzzing and talking about it this morning afterwards. And you've been a part of basketball in the 757 and going back to the Eastern District for many, many years. This is nothing that's new. It's not foreign, but we hate to see it when it does occur.
Yeah, it takes away from the game, and you got a lot of great fans. Had nothing to do with the stupid stuff that's going on, and they have to leave the gym, and now they're angry because they're going to miss the best part of the game. So that was not cool. The thing that got me when I watched the highlights, Lake Taylor, and I have to put this on the administration, who, again, some great people. You can't let that many people standing up under the baskets. You are inviting potential issues. It's too many people. I mean, I couldn't tell sometimes where the players ended, where the crowd started on the out of bounds on the underneath, because there's so many players, and you got to find a seat. And if it's sold out, well, you know what? You got here earlier. We're not putting all those people now. Media people such as yourself and Larry, true media people, yes. But the other thing I've noticed on there, and this is starting to happen a lot here in the last 3-4 years, these somebody told me they call them social media influencers, is the young dudes with these cameras, and they're taking videos, pictures, whatever. Okay, that's nice, but you don't stand along. You can sit in the crowd and take your pictures. You're not true media. I'm sorry, call me old or whatever, which I call myself that. You're not Virginia Pilot. You're not Virginia Preps. All right, you're not Max Preps. You have to be. You're not Cova Sports TV. Okay, you're not somebody that has a legit show, radio show, whatever. You got to go get a seat. It's too many people in that area, and I think that invites issues at times. And Norfolk for years, I remember playing at Booker T. That was one of the things. You had people right up to the end lines.
Sure.
Players had to ask, "Hey, can you move out of the way so I can throw the ball in bounds?" And Booker T was known for that. The crowds of Booker T were tremendous. Those people were very passionate about those Bookers, and you had some great games. And I was really glad to be part of it. But I do remember being a lot of fights in games had nothing to do with players. Never. It was not players. And the police, everything was well done. It's just, I just don't like seeing that many people standing around because it always feels like something's about to go down. That's how I feel with that. But anyway, great game. Two really good teams. They will be there in the regionals. Both teams have great shots to get into the state tournament. They both have highlight players. So,
well, let's do this. Let's discuss that a little bit more when we come back from break. We'll take a quick timeout. Again, we've got Howard Balzer coming up, Sirius XM NFL Radio. He hosts the Hall of Fame show for that, and he'll tell you all that he's doing. And we'll also highlight his just wonderful career covering the pro football sport. And I think this is going to be like his 45th Super Bowl he's going to be covering, which is unbelievable. But we'll discuss a lot more with the college football, do the NFL picks at the end too, and we've got high school hoops. And by the way, as I hope Ed Young doesn't go too in-depth on this because we got to keep it a secret, Matt Hatfield's got some new adventures in his life. But in doing one of them yesterday, I got a little time during my lunch break, starting to tabulate power ratings, folks. So we're getting ready for that for the high school hoop scene. So we've got a lot coming your way. It is Cova Sports TV and 757 Sports Talk, where you can like, you can share, and you always subscribe to us. Back in a bit after we hear a word from those that help make it possible.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis, but if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams-Deloitte, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7 right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Packed gymnasium for Nansman River and Kings Fork, two crosstown rivals. Bulldogs up by one, a step back three for the Warriors to win. It's no good, but the stick back is there for Teron Atwater, and time runs out. Final score, Nansman River 57, Kings Fork 56. The Warriors end the 11-game losing streak to the Bulldogs and notch their first win over their crosstown rivals since February of 2019. It's the first victory at home since 2014. Kings Fork drops to 7-3, and Nansman River moves to 10-3. They'll meet again, but this was a classic in the Peanut City.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And good morning to everybody. I am the Coach Ed Young, Smithfield High School. Big game, as we just talked earlier. If you joined in the show early, Lake Taylor, Norview last night, overtime classic. And, of course, Matt was at that game, got a chance to talk with two players from Norview. Keon Mitchell, Will Adams played a big role in the game, and also head coach Rick Foster for Norview. So let's go over there right now and see what they had to say right here on COLA Sports TV.
Couple of seniors for the Norview Pops. We got Keon Fats Mitchell on the left and Will Adams. They win it in overtime against the Lake Taylor Titans, 73-66. Lake Taylor's no longer undefeated. Fats, let me start with you. You knew coming in this was going to be a big hype game, crazy atmosphere. Game got delayed with a little bit of ruckus, if you will, in OT. But to win it the way you guys did, how does it feel to knock them off and keep rolling you guys as a team?
It was a big win. Definitely be the first team to get them an L, but we got more to do.
I know you missed some key free throws, but your stat line was incredible tonight with 34 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. Jamari Edwards hits 1 or 2 free throws. Ball's in your hand at the end. Take me through what's going through your mind, the shot you saw and got to go down.
They missed a free throw, and they was only up 3. I looked at Coach. I asked him, did he want a 3 or did he want me to drive? He said 3. So I took a big shot.
Did you think they might foul you guys to prevent you getting the 3 off there? It happens a lot in college and pros, or did you know I'm going to get this off?
I mean, they dropped back into a zone. That's what threw me off. I'm like, they just going to give it to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about you. You've been a steady floor general for this Norview basketball team. You're starting to come off the bench for a couple of years. Overtime comes. Your teammate here gets you guys some new life at 4 more minutes. What got into you to kind of take over the game there and start the overtime?
I just had to lock in. And Coach said big-time players make big-time plays, so I just had to step up, lock in.
Did you feel like your number would be called, especially with them paying attention to Keon and also Zamarion? Those are kind of your two big playmakers off the bounce. Did you feel like you'd get some good looks on the perimeter coming in?
Yeah, yes, sir, for sure. They find me. They going to find me, especially him. He going to find me.
What was this like playing this atmosphere? You've been in some big Eastern District battles, but this one was different. What was different about it?
I mean, the crowd, it was wild.
Yeah.
You really had to lock in and, listen to what Coach was saying.
Sure. Keon, were you glad you guys got to finish this game? There was a fight that was unfortunate with the fans. Were you hoping to get the game finished here as opposed to having it being postponed another day or something like that? Or
Yeah, definitely. I actually wanted to finish it with a crowd so I could celebrate a little bit more, but it's cool. I'll take any win.
Sure. And lastly, to get this win tonight over Lake Taylor, what do you guys do from here moving forward? Because you still got more games coming that'll be important on your quest to win a region state championship.
We got practice tomorrow, right back to a big game Monday against Denby. Same thing.
Highlights get it done for the Titans. Thanks so much, guys. Congrats. Here with Norview head basketball coach Ricardo Foster. His pilots win it tonight in overtime over Lake Taylor, 73-66. They knocked the Titans off from the ranks of the unbeaten, and they moved their record to 11-1 on the season. Coach, you've been involved with some big battles in the Eastern District. This is nothing new to you, but this one tonight had a little extra feel to it and zest. It goes to OT. Describe just the whole feeling and atmosphere and winning the game the way you guys did.
That's Eastern District basketball. Lake Taylor been playing great basketball all year. Norview, we've been playing great basketball all year. The kids ain't high school today, so it's a great day to set up a great game in the district, man. I'm glad we came out with the win, and I'm glad that both teams came and competed hard and gave the fans what they wanted to see.
You guys had a pretty nice grip or control of the game between anywhere from 3 to 7, 8 points most of the night. Lake Taylor had a fourth quarter comeback out behind their crowd, but at the end, Jamari Edwards, who was really good for Lake Taylor, hit a free throw, missed one. Keon Mitchell gets the ball in your hands, gets the ball in his hands. What's going through your mind there at the end? He's going to take the shot and make the shot?
I'll be honest with you, he gave me the look like shoot the 3, and I told him shoot the 3. I mean, worst could have happened. He would have missed it, and we would have lost. So him having trust in me as the coach, and me having trust in him as the point guard. I mean, it's a great combination.
I asked Fats, I said, did you expect a foul there? He said, not so much. I was thrown off by them playing a little bit of a zone there. And speak on him to bounce back, because we know working on free throws has been a conscious effort. He made them in the OT, but he has a short-term memory, and he's a gamer, isn't he?
Yeah, big time gamer, man. I always joke and call him. I call him the new age Jason Williams, man. You remember Jason Williams played for Duke? Shot about 50% from the 3, but shot also 50 from the free throw line. So he really don't know who Jay Will is, but I do. But I think more so when he gets settled in on his free throws, man, and he kind of relaxes, he kind of clutch up with him and knock him down when he need to.
Yeah, there's 3 Jay Wills. You got the white chocolate Jay Will, you got the Jason Williams rebounder, and you got Jay Will who's on TV, like you said, who played at Duke and in the NBA. How about Will Adams for you too, Coach? He doesn't score at all in regulation, but in the overtime he scores the first 5 points, and he's a steady influence for you, isn't he?
Yeah, Will going to do those things that, you can't ask too many people to do because they not going to do it, and that's the dirty work. And, we'll know that if he do the dirty work, he'll get rewarded, man. And that's what he did today. He had a couple plays where he got some early fouls, but he got poised late in the game, and he was there when we needed him.
Going back to what we talked about a couple weeks ago when you played Princess Anne and won, you have playmakers and shot makers with Keon Mitchell, Zamarion Mitchell, but just the trust in Fats now as a senior to make plays and others around him better. I thought he did that in the second quarter and kind of raised his teammates down the stretch. Did you get that sense as well? He raises people around in their games?
Yeah, the kid, it's personal with him, man. Every night he go out, he got to go and prove his love. So, at times where he feel like the guys aren't there, he got to put them on his back. And sometimes he can put him on his back with a few passes, and then sometimes he got to put him on his back by getting a few buckets. Sure. And he been doing a great job at both.
Yeah. Last two here. Take me through what happened at the end of the game, under a minute to go. Fans spun the court, a little bit of an altercation. How did you keep the kids' heads there? I know that's an unfortunate scene, but it's something that you guys wanted to power through and finish this game, right?
Man, that's Norfolk, Virginia at its finest, man. Great basketball game, man. The fans let the moment get the best of them, but the kids, the players stayed poised, under control from both teams. The coaches stayed under control from both teams. Both teams responded well. In a game like this, you kind of expect things like that, man. I'm just glad that everybody got out of here safe and both programs are healthy, and nothing happened to any of the kids in here. That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. We don't want it to tarnish what was a great battle between two worthy teams.
Great game.
Lastly, as you move forward, what does this win do for your team? I know there's still a lot to accomplish here, but this is a win you can build off, isn't it?
Definitely a win we can build off. Lake Taylor been running through a lot of competition. We just seen Lansdowne beat Patriot, and Patriot robbed us earlier this season when we went up there to Potomac. So we just want to get recognized with the top dogs in the area because we putting in work just like the top dogs putting in the work, and we just want to get recognized too. That's all.
Well, right now they're the number 2 team in Class 5 in the state. The Pilots beat the number 1 team in Class 3. The Titans. A great battle tonight in overtime. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
So you heard from Ricardo Foster of the Norview Pilots and Will Adams as well as Keon Mitchell. Their win in overtime over Lake Taylor. It is 757 Sports Talk powered by Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. We've had our rankings scroll across the ticker too if you've been following those across the 6 classifications, Ed. We do have at the moment Norview number 2 in Class 5 behind only Albemarle. As you see him rolling across the ticker from this past week again, Westfield, Lansdowne Patriots seem to be a pretty clear-cut 1, 2, 3. LC Bird and Oscar Smith right behind them in Class 6. That's pretty much it for the local representation, but it will be fascinating to see who gets the 1 in that Region 6A that includes Bird, Smith, and Lansdowne. C.G. Woodson sneaking up on people. Your buddy Doug Craig there in Class 6. Albemarle's 1, Norview's 2. Highland Springs won an overtime game on Friday night over Henrico. They're 3. Green Run, which got a big win over Kings Fork, is 4. Nansman outlasted Kings Fork. Did lose to Oscar Smith, but they've been playing a lot of people. Woodside, Douglas Freeman's unbeaten going into the week. Stonebridge and Princess Anne. And then in Class 4, which is now your classification, a lot of contenders there. Hanley's had the injury, unfortunately, again to Will Brondwood, who just came back and got re-injured. Denby beat them soundly. You have EC Glass and Hampton. Before Denby, Heritage Leesburg, Verina, which has been playing quite well with Damari Carter back in the fold, the UVA football signee. So a lot there to digest in terms of the rankings. And in for Lake Taylor's case in Class 3, the fascinating part there is, had them number 1. Petersburg plays Lansdowne tonight in the Lawson Classic up in the Richmond area. Will Petersburg and Lake Taylor end up squaring off in the region semis before the finals? Because New Kent now, with that loss, Lake Taylor has to play Norview again. If New Kent runs the table, I think New Kent outpoints both Petersburg and Lake Taylor, which I know is hard for some to fathom.
Yeah, of course, New Kent's in our district, obviously Bay River, so we played them. We got to play them again.
So the Crimson Wave and Titans are counting on you, Ed Young, to do them a favor, do them a solace, and go beat New Kent. It's up to you. So. It's all going to be your fault if they don't get the 1 seed. All on you.
That's the one game we're pretty much out from start to finish. They got us early in that ball game.
Change your strategy. That's all we're telling you. Change your strategy. Go about it differently.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to see if we can play 6 players. I think you could beat them with 6.
No, you can't do that. You get a technical foul. Don't do that.
No, I'll take the technical foul. We just got to see if that would work. But I'm going to tell you right now, on paper, Lake Taylor and Petersburg are definitely better than New Kent. New Kent's good now.
And listen, I agree with that statement, and I know people might think we're bashing. That's no knock to New Kent. New Kent can shoot the ball, but you're right. And it's just the way things may go with power ratings. You sometimes will see in the semifinals of the region or the states, the two better or best teams meet before the championship. It happens. Shoot, in the NFL, you could argue that, I don't know that I agree with it, but say the Bills and Broncos are the two best teams in the AFC. Or in the case of the NFC, I like the Rams and the Bears. Those two could be the two best teams in the NFC. Nothing against Seattle or San Francisco. Someone could argue that. So, yeah, it's a fair viewpoint. Maybe not everybody has to agree with it, but it's a fair viewpoint.
And, again, they're in my district, so I don't want people to say, he's bad because they lost to him or he's not favoring one of his district. I'm just trying to look at it. I've seen them all play. Up close and personal with New Kent. They are very good.
And further on that, because you've seen New Kent. New Kent's got one young man who has been just torching people, and that is Marty Ray, who you loved last year when you watched him before you got back into coaching just as an observer. We went and saw them play Bruton. He's averaging 27.8 points per game. Their next leading scores are at 13.4 and 8.8, and Christian Joyner and Devin Bailey. Really good players, but you feel like Petersburg or Lake Taylor has the manpower to try to slow him down, and then do you have enough to keep up with Petersburg's size and athleticism? And Lake Taylor can play fast and loose with those guards and put a lot of pressure, and they hit the offensive boards, which we saw even in their loss to Norview on Friday night. So that's a fascinating angle. And in Class 5, Ed, that was a big win for Norview. Here's why. Nothing to do with district, nothing to do with Norfolk, because now they're almost clear of the field, because Woodside, Kings Fork, and Nansman all have 3 losses, or now in Nansman's case, 4 with the one last night. Kings Fork and Woodside have 3. And they could suffer a 4th because Woodside's still got to play Denby and Hampton again. They play Hampton next week. And Kings Fork's got to play Oscar Smith next week. So Norview, if they keep taking care of their business, and they got Denby coming up on Monday in the Kings Fork MLK event. But if Norview keeps taking care of its business, I think they're in pretty good shape to get the 1 seed. Now, I'm not sure that region's going to pair its teams up as far as where they play at, but that's a big deal to be the 1 seed, isn't it? As opposed to being, 2 or 3 or the 4 seed. The 4 seed might have to see a Granby as a 5 who could be sneaky.
Right. If you can get number 1, you get the number 1 seed. You're the best in that region. Of course, again, you got to get on the court and do it. And I'm like you. I hate to see a great matchup in the semis because somebody's going home who probably, and we say this every year, and we'll say it again this year in another couple months, who probably go to states and win it, if not getting a championship game in a state tournament. Well, if they were that good, how come they – it is what it is. I just wish we took more teams to the states, made it a bigger tournament.
We don't take enough for you. You don't think we have enough teams in the states?
No, two per region is should. I would say 4. Go 4 per region. I know it's a lot more games, but I think, and again, it's almost like college football playoffs. Well, do we take 4? Do we take 8? Do we take 16? Why are we taking 4? Why don't we just take 5? And somebody's going to say number 5 could beat number 1 in the other. Take 4. You got to stop it somewhere. 2's too few. I'll go 4 from each region. And then we go from there. And then reseed after each round. That's the way I like to see it. But then again, who's reseeding? Who says A is better than B and B is better than C? It's a lot to it. But do the best you can to get the best matchups down the road. I think that's how it would work.
You're not playing Windsor, which, by the way, is on the lookout for a new football coach. Benjamin Du Bois announced that he has stepped down on Friday. We'll have more on that on VirginiaPreps.com. But what do you want to know?
Talked with Ben last night. He will be coming on the show soon. He's got some irons in the fire. I'll leave it at that.
Irons in the fire. So that means you've been scooped on something that I haven't. So how
you
dare
have not been privy to things I know, because I've got people in good places.
You got
Woody, we don't play
bad places too, but
we don't play Windsor because we asked them to play and they said no. I would like to play Windsor, being that we're both Isle of Wight County teams. I think we would have good crowds for both games, but yes, we're 4A, they're 2A, and they elected not to play us, and that's fine. I mean, respect that decision 100%. It would probably be a situation where we play them 1 year at our place, 1 year at their place, back and forth. There's no need to play twice. They're not in our district. No need to play twice. And Bay Rivers has too many teams already, 20 games. I only have 3 non-district. I would not want to play them twice. I don't want to play anybody twice in a non-district situation. So that's why that's not happening.
Yep. Let us know who you think is the best team in the 757, and you can interact with us all morning long. I know people will say it's going to be Princess Anne, and that'll be their choice, but we're going to take a quick time out, Ed, because when we come back, we have with us a special guest. He is an NFL expert, done it for many, many years, one of the very best in the business. We're talking about Howard Balzer, longtime NFL Hall of Fame voter, too. He's going to discuss the divisional round. We got 4 really good games here coming up in the National Football League today and tomorrow. It's all coming your way after this quick timeout. You're watching 757 Sports Talk with us on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and hit the comment box if you got a question for Howard, too, right here on Cova Sports TV.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Portco is your local nonprofit organization dedicated to economic empowerment through employment for people with disabilities. We focus on abilities, not limitations, providing on-the-job vocational support. Find your pathway to employment. Contact us or learn more at portco.org.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Usually it's Hatfield. That's why I try to tell everybody, get on Hatfield. He is the legal scribe, the talking head that knows all this, puts the whammies on. We do things different on this podcast. That's why we're rated number 3 in the state.
You got Play-Doh? Get out of here! We got people all over the globe watching with us. Sitting in a phone booth with you would be very...
well, now, we got to have your own phone booth. I'm not sitting in a phone booth with you.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
All right, we have a special guest with us here on Cova Sports TV and 757 Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to interact with us all morning long. He's been covering the National Football League for half a century and done it at an incredibly high level. He's done work with Lindy's Pro Football Magazine, which we get every year. He's got his predictions in there, and he's got one of his Super Bowl teams alive for that. You can also check him out in Sirius XM NFL Radio, I believe. He's going to be concluding his 50th season covering the National Football League and his 45th Super Bowl coming up, and been a Hall of Fame selector for 23 years. So pleased to be joined by Howard Balzer. Howard, thanks for coming on the show. How you been?
I've been well. I'm doing good. Thanks for plugging Lindy's there. And it's funny you brought that up because every year people say to me, well, you know, you've been doing this a long time. When are you thinking of when you're going to stop or anything like that? And I said, yeah, when I predict the 2 Super Bowl teams correctly in Lindy's and I get the winner, that's when I'll give it up, because I'll know I'll never be able to probably do that again, because it hasn't happened in the 33 magazines that I've been senior editor for. So that's my one thing. So it probably means that I'll just keep doing it until I can't do it anymore.
Well, take solace in this. A, nobody's doing it better than you because everybody gets it wrong. And B, you've come close a couple of different times. You had Bills over Lions this past year, and Buffalo's still there. But these divisions, we talked about it last week on the show, Howard. It's incredible. I don't think anybody that was favored to win their division except Philadelphia won its division. Oh, no, by the way, the defending Super Bowl champs get knocked out at home by the injured San Francisco 49ers in a heck of a playoff game. But the wild card round games were just tremendous last week. Before we look at these games today, you have one or two takeaways from what transpired last weekend that really stuck out to you? Like, man, oh, man, those 4 games, though, all in the last 2 minutes, we saw lead changes. It was zany.
No, it totally was. Those first 4 were just, you couldn't really ask for much more from a football game in terms of the competitiveness. Obviously, the Bears come back from a big lead, but all of them going down to the wire. And, like I said, it's always funny when in the NFL people talk about TV ratings and all these things and the numbers. Well, when you have close games coming down to the wire, the ratings are normally really, really good. And that's definitely the case, because when a game isn't competitive in the fourth quarter, there are people that, kind of change the channel. And so, yeah, they were incredible. But I'll add this one thing where you were pointing out with, with the Lions and the Eagles and, hey, how about the Chiefs? I mean, that's this league. Well, this league is a league of 1-score games. And last year, the Chiefs were 11-0 in the regular season in 1-score games. And I think this year they were 1-8. And all of a sudden they go from 15 regular season wins to only 6. And that, to me, should be a little message to the teams that don't do well and say, when I say don't do well, win 3, 4, 5, 6 games, whatever, and they say, oh, we got to change our head coach. It's all the head coach's fault. Well, that's the way this league is. And when you have a team like that, like the Lions who won 15 last year and, won a little more than half this season, it just shows that what can happen to even the good things when little things don't go their way. But these owners, they say, well, we got to change the coach because the fans are yelling, social media goes nuts. And they say, well, we got to change the head coach. And then they get into that pattern of changing coaches every 2 or 3 years, which will never lead to any kind of stability with an organization.
That's an excellent point, Howard, as I bring in my cohort, longtime basketball coach, but pigskin lover Ed Young, who listens to you and many others on Sirius XM NFL radio from time to time. That's music to your ears, Ed.
Yeah, first of all, Howard, I want to say thank you for coming on. Congrats on a great career so far. I do listen to you. I think you're one of the most knowledgeable, and I like how you come across with what you do. You're not out in left field. You're in the infield and you know what you're doing. I like that a lot.
Well, I appreciate it. I think a lot of people they're not in left field. They're I don't even know if they're in the bleachers sometimes with some of the stuff that gets put out there, whether it's fans, whether it's media that are just looking for the clicks. And that's kind of the way it used to be that way just with talk radio. But that was kind of I don't want to say beyond under the radar, but it kind of was. But once we got this social media thing, oh my goodness, it's just totally out of hand and people can say anything. And unfortunately, if there's owners who actually listen to that, well, then they deserve anything that happens to their franchise.
Well, and Howard, you and I are kind of, well, I'll use the term dinosaur because that's what this knucklehead over here would tell me. Oh, you got to change your mind thinking this is 2026. This isn't 1900 when you first started. There's nothing in replacement of veterans in terms of experience. You can't rush it. We have, I think we've adapted is why we're still lasting and in your case, I'm still struggling coming back after 1 year of being out. We're 500 team right now, but you're on top because you made the adjustments. You still know you're close to the situation. You know what you're talking about. And you said you're in an industry where it's not perfect. Nobody is perfect.
It's a game.
Right? You just can't. Now, and I go on and on about that situation, but you said something that struck a nerve with me because my ball club, and I'm suffering like a son of a gun because we did it again. Changed coaches, my Vegas Raiders. I still want to say Oakland Raiders. I've been a Raider fan since Super Bowl II. What the heck is going on with the Raiders? They get rid of Carroll right off, after 1 year. Now there's this craze about, and the fans are saying, well, we're going to have Mendoza's coming. We're going to be the Super Bowl next year. And I've said this. I'm not drafting Mendoza. Why? I don't have a line. You got to get a line first before you get a quarterback. Well, you got to take Mendoza. He's a once-in-a-generation. We've had many Heisman quarterbacks in the past who didn't pan out in the NFL.
Jamarcus Russell?
Yes, Jamarcus Russell. That's the last time we had the number 1 pick, which scares me again. I said this, trade the pick, get some linemen, and then we could get maybe get a quarterback later. or wait till next year, because we won't be in the playoffs next year, no matter what we do. I hope we don't have the number 1 pick. But give me your assessment on the Raiders. What should they do? What do you think they may do? Am I completely out in left field myself when I say don't draft Mendoza because of my reason?
No, I don't think so. And especially if you can trade the pick, if there's someone else who's desperate to get up for him, then you can get a lot of other choices. But I understand the predicament that teams are in because, bottom line, the 14 playoff teams, 12 of them had quarterbacks that were first-round picks. Now, they all weren't high first-round picks, but a bunch of them were. And so when you're a general manager, you're going, oh, we got to get the highest rated quarterback because that's our ticket to helping this thing turn around. But like you said, the thing that drives me most crazy about football is that when you hear the comment about a quarterback, he won or he lost, as if he's out there alone like tennis or golf, right? You have to have 10 up besides the offensive line, which you are right on about that. And that's basically half of your starters on offense. But if you don't have that, and then the other supporting cast, I don't care who the quarterback is, he is not going to succeed. And I have a phrase I call collective amnesia, because going into a season, training camp, whatever, all the fan base, everyone say, well, this line has to come together. They better have the good offensive line to do the things on offense they want to do. And then as soon as the offense isn't doing that, what is the roar from everyone? Oh, it's the play caller, it's the coordinator, it's the quarterback, and no one even talks about the offensive line, like all the problems the Chiefs had with that, and they had it in the Super Bowl, which led to Philadelphia dominating that game. So you better have the line, because there's no offensive coordinator that can create a game plan for his offense to give them a chance to win the game if he doesn't have an offensive line that he's confident can do all the things they want to do on offense, even if you have a lot of those other pieces. But the whole play calling thing really drives me nuts with the outside noise, because I said this to someone the other day. I said, have you ever heard anyone after an NBA game and the team lost and someone say, oh man, the play calling wasn't very good in that game, right? No one ever says that. But in football, a game that depends on 11 pieces coming together and playing as a unit, and all it takes is one guy on a play to miss a block, or one guy to have a penalty, one guy to drop a pass. It only takes one guy to blow up a play, and yet afterwards someone say, oh, that play call was bad. Like they even know what the play call was, much less that it might have been changed at the line of scrimmage or had to be adjusted to what the defense was doing. So the level of not going on in this sport by a lot of people, it reminds me of the great quote from Jim Mora, the former coach of the Saints and in the USFL. And it's not the one about playoffs. We just want to win. It's not that one. It's when someone asked him about something in a game or something with the team. And he said, you know what, you guys? He says, you don't know, and you never will know. You think you know, but you don't know. And that's true not only of a lot of the media, but certainly most, if not all, of the fans, because they just don't realize what goes on in an NFL game that allows teams to be really good. Yeah, you can see good players, don't get me wrong, but all the intricacies, no one really knows except the coaches. And then you have places like Pro Football Focus who put out these rankings as if they know what every player's responsibility was on every play. But then fans feed into that. Oh, this guy was only rated this. I'm saying, come on, you can't be serious.
Yeah, it's over-analysis here. We're talking with Howard Balzer. He is the longtime NFL reporter. You can check out his work, Sirius XM NFL Radio, Lindy's Pro Football Magazine, co-host of the Hall of Fame radio show, and give him a follow on the X or the Twitter at hbalzer721. And speaking of the X and the Twitter, before we tackle today's games and tomorrow's games with you, Howard, we got a question on our comment box from Larry on Twitter X. So what NFL vacancy do you like the best? Which one do you think is best set up to win right away? There's a bunch of them out there. You got one that stands out to you?
It's really tough this year, but we're still waiting for John Harbaugh to make, to finalize the deal with the Giants. That on one level, it's an attractive job because they have the quarterback, and every coach, all these fan bases are all going nuts about, this coach and that coach and who would be the best. And most of them are coordinators, and you never know how they're going to be as a leader of a team, much less run the offense or whatever it is. But every coach goes to a team, Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee's a bad spot because they have a quarterback in Cam Ward, but a lot of them, a coach is going to say, well, who's going to be my quarterback? Because every coach knows that he's got 2 or 3 years probably to turn it around, or he's going to be out in the street again. And so, especially for guys who have coached coached before. So the Giants, the Titans are certainly teams. You have to look at the Ravens and say right now that, they're attractive. The Steelers are a great organization, but that question is going to be asked there. Who's my quarterback? Right now, the Steelers might have a little more patience with a guy going in because that's their DNA. But a lot of other teams, that's not the way they roll. And so you've got to be really careful in this, especially if you've been a head coach before, because you're probably not going to get another chance for number 2 and even number 1. I mean, you want to, everyone says, well, it's great money. And if they fire you, you still get your money. But these guys are competitive. Competitiveness is in their DNA, and you want to win. You want to be successful. You don't want to be looking and saying, oh, my goodness, if this doesn't turn around in year 2, then all the fans are going to be yelling up. Here we go. Got to change the coach again. So you've got to be really careful because most of these top quality look at Ben Johnson. He turned down opportunities because he didn't think that they were the right fit and the right place to go. And I always say this, I think it was Bill Cowher said on CBS in the last few weeks, when a head coach is looking for a job, the number one thing on his mind going into interviews is owner, owner, owner. And when you look at teams that consistently lose and are unstable, a lot of times, most of the time, it starts at the top.
Bingo, no doubt about it. And speaking of Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, that guy's been money in the fourth quarter with 7 fourth quarter and OT comebacks before. Ed gets to you about the Sunday games.
What the Bears did, to Ed's point, what the Bears did in the offseason that I hardly see anybody mention is they totally revamped their entire interior of their offensive line. A lot of people don't even realize it. They traded for 2 guards and they signed a center as an unrestricted free agent, restructured the 2 trade contract, and they spent like $85 million of guaranteed money. And all of a sudden, the offensive line enables Ben Johnson to do what he wants to do with the Bears. Just how great that offensive line was with the Lions when he was there. And by the way, that offensive line last season with a retirement and some injuries and things like that wasn't what it was the year before.
And look at that interior where the foundation is built. To your point, Howard, Frank Ragnow's gone from the Lions, and look how it just disintegrated for them up front and sort of their offense not being as lethal. Before we get on that Sunday matchup, though, with Bears, Rams, and also the game with the Patriots and the Texans, the games for today, you have the Bills going to Denver. You have the Niners going to the Seahawks. We saw 4 to 6 road teams win last week. Which one is better built to win on the road? I'm kind of surprised that both are doing what they're doing in a sense because Josh Allen doesn't have the weaponry that we sort of envisioned going into the year. He's relied on his running and James Cook so much. The defense has been good in one area against the pass, not so much against the run. And then in the case of San Francisco, my goodness, injuries galore from Trent Williams to George Kittle to Fred Warner. Which one's better built to win? My gut tells me it's Buffalo because the ball in Allen's hands last you like. But it could be San Francisco because Kyle Shanahan's been brilliant with his play calling, and they have familiarity with Seattle in the division. What do you think?
Trent Williams only missed 1 game, and that was the game against Seattle in the last one of the regular season. And their offensive line, even with all the injuries they've had, their offensive line has been pretty consistent and stable all season. So it gives them a shot in this game, but Seattle's defense is so good. Sam Darnold's health with the oblique could be an issue. That's not an easy issue. Injury when you're doing twisting and moving and things like that. So, that could be a key. But the 49ers couldn't run the ball against the Seahawks. Oh, and by the way, in their 7-2 end of the season, the 2 teams they lost to were the Rams and the Seahawks. And the 7 wins were against a lot of the bottom feeders in the NFL. So they got a shot. Certainly the familiarity is there. But I would say the Bills have a better chance of pulling off the upset. Although I think they're favored in a lot of places. But Josh Allen's a unicorn. I mean, he just finds a way most of the time to get things done. This is a gritty, grinding team. Denver's very good, don't get me wrong, and their defense is tremendous. But, a lot of these games obviously come down to turnovers and come down to missed field goals. But I think of these games for the road team, the Bills probably, I say, have a better chance of winning. And the other point with the 49ers, with all the accolades about what they've done to overcome injuries, and there's been a bunch they've overcome, but last year they weren't able to overcome them. They won 6 games, and the biggest injury last year was Christian McCaffrey, who played only 4 games. This year he's played them all, and that is the guy that stirs the drink in this 49ers offense, and he has to have a pretty darn good game, whether it's running or receiving, for them to be able to beat the Seahawks.
No question about it. He's such a weapon. And Ed, our friends in Buffalo, our Bills fans out there are hoping it doesn't come down to a kick at the end because it's not been so good for them in the past when it comes down to field goal kickers to decide games.
No doubt about that. You know, they picked up a guy who was here for several years with Matt Prater. He's had a little bit of an injury issue, but the guy is usually money. So I'm sure they're confident in him if it comes down to a kick late. And so, but I would expect both these games today to be competitive, and could be like last week where they come down to the last few minutes.
Howard, when we look at tomorrow, I guess the highlight game, because we've already talked a little bit about them, Bears, Rams. The Bears, upstart with Johnson coming in there. They're this deep now. Caleb Williams seems to have found himself. But here's the Rams, and it seems a lot of flavor is for the Rams to win the Super Bowl. It sets this situation here. I think it's Rams. I believe in the Rams. It was since the plan started, it would be my Super Bowl pick, would be the Rams. I kind of jumped on that wagon too. How much really is it Rams, or is it Bears assessing this ball game?
This is a heck of an interesting game, because you're right. I mean, the Rams were the flavor of the week for a long time, and they were seen, coming into the last month as the team that was best positioned to potentially win the Super Bowl. I said all along that whoever the teams are in the playoffs, that I think it's wide open, because I don't see any team that automatically jumps out over all the others. Some have a good offense, some have great defense, like the Texans, and they're going to have a battle with the Patriots on Sunday. But with the Rams, they didn't play that great down the stretch, and it's hard to pinpoint a reason. Some of it was turnovers. Some of it was just, you're playing good teams, and that's the thing. When you're in the playoffs, you're playing other good teams, obviously. And I always remember back to Tony La Russa. It was he was a baseball guy, but he always said, "Hey, the bottom line is getting to the postseason, because after that, basically anything can happen." And I think for a large part, that's the case with the NFL. But they're going into Chicago on what's supposed to be windy, cold, maybe a little snow. And the thing is, though, you can see the Rams getting out and playing well and having a lead, but you can never count out the Bears. And we've seen that enough times to know that this has been a great come from behind team. And so that's what makes this one very intriguing to try to analyze and to say it comes down to this. And I always ask this of people: would you be surprised whoever won any of these games? And if you say no, then that just tells me, well, there really isn't a true favorite.
You had a great stat real quickly before I let Ed finish up with you on the Pats and the Texans here, Howard, about on your Twitter feed. They can follow you on X at HBalzer721. The final composite divisional records. And NFC West was tops at 41-27. Then it was NFC North, and then AFC East at 36-32. It's actually possible, Howard, we could get an all AFC East and an all NFC West championship game in each league if you get Rams versus the Niners, Rams versus Seahawks, and you could get Bills Pats. It's possible we could get those third meetings for the conference titles, right?
No doubt about it. And the NFC West has always been one of the tougher competitive divisions in the NFL. Last year, and I think the Rams and the Seahawks have kind of taken people by surprise, and even the 49ers for that matter, after people talk about, this was a rebuild, a retooling year for them. And I never bought into that at all. But the way that division played this year was a little bit better than everybody thought, because the Rams and the Seahawks tied for first place last year with only 10, I shouldn't say only, but with 10 victories. And of course the Rams got it on a tiebreaker. But yeah, these two divisions have been, they're very quality. And, with the West, it's three teams in the postseason. The East has the Patriots, like you said, and the Bills. And, the Patriots are a real interesting story, obviously, with Drake May only in his second season and doing what he's doing. But the defense, Houston's defense is just tremendous. And so it's, like I said, no team is perfect. Every team has its flaws, but even the team that you believe is better, things just have to go right during a game. And we know that anything can happen in a game. Like I said, with, a penalty here, a fumble, a missed field goal, an official's call that doesn't go a team's way that maybe wasn't 100% correct. And so that's the nature of the NFL. Close games. And to me, it shouldn't be held against teams. Oh gosh, they lost in the playoffs by a field goal. They're horrible. I mean, that's just crazy to me. I don't get that mentality. A lot of times it's out there in terms of trying to assess, what teams are and what they've done.
It's hard to win these games. It's a roller coaster. They like to say on Red Zone, it's the witching hour at the end of the games, Ed.
Yeah, and Howard, I jump back to Sunday's you touched on it, the Texans and Patriots. Now, I've told Matt all year long, we hardly talk about Patriots on this show. I've not given them proper respect. I love Mike Vrabel. I just didn't think the Patriots had it. And they've been there all along, hosting a home playoff game, of course, in the New England weather. But here's the Texans, whose defense, I'm hearing some of the talking heads say, you might put them down as one of the all-time great defenses in NFL history.
Compared to the Ravens in 2000, which is crazy in some respects, right?
Exactly. And
the Bears were not that. I always love when people come out with the best thing in history, and I say, well, where's their history go back to? 2010, or something like that. I mean, but they are very good. There's no doubt about it. But I think it's a little early to start putting them in the company of some of those just incredible defenses that we've seen in the NFL. Heck, the Steelers for all those years. When we won 4 Super Bowls. I mean, that defense was just, don't have to say how great they were. And you have to do it for a number of years. But, yeah, this one is very good. There's no doubt about it. And it's what gives me the tendency to say I like the Patriots in this game, mainly because I think the Houston's offense has some issues right now. And Nico Collins is not going to play. He's the best target on that team for CJ Stroud. They can run it a bit, but it'll probably be a low-scoring game. And that's the thing about a lot of these. If it's low-scoring, then even if your offense isn't playing great, you're still in the game in the fourth quarter. And I'll give you another stat. Close to 70% of the games in the regular season. That's a lot of games when you consider the teams that ended with bad records. 70% of the games in the NFL during the regular season were one-score games at some point in the fourth quarter. And that's what ends up deciding games, is who makes the play in the fourth quarter to help their team win, who maybe doesn't, makes a mistake that leads to the other team doing something that leads to a loss. Those are the things that are a big part of it, obviously. And in the playoffs, even more so, because the teams are generally pretty evenly matched.
Fantastic work there. Before we let you run here, give the folks a chance to how they can follow your coverage, your work. We mentioned on the X or the Twitter, if you will, at HBalzer721. How can they do so? And then do you have a revised Super Bowl pick? You had Bills over Lions back in the summer. What is it now?
Well, you're forcing me to make a pick. But I hate predictions. I only do it in Lindy's because the publisher makes me do it. And, of course, we go to press with that magazine in May, which is kind of a little early to make those choices. But look, I'll stick with the Bills only because I don't know that they will, obviously, but I'll pick them because I like my pick, to be correct. And I will say in the NFC that it will be the Seahawks.
All right, I like it there. And how can they follow your work for the Super Bowl and beyond? Was any special way they could do so?
Well, you mentioned the Twitter. I do cover the Cardinals where I am here in Arizona at cardswire.usatoday.com. And even though it's mostly Cardinals, I weave in some national perspective on it to try to give Cardinals fans some perspective of the way the other league is. I often think that fans of one team don't even pay attention. Well, they pay attention, but they don't really watch what goes on in the rest of the league. So I bring in some national stuff to that reporting also that I do for CardsWire.
Awesome. Well, Ed's a Raiders fan. I'm a Cardinals fan. I've been bleeding them for many, many years, Howard. I had my heart broken in Super Bowl 43 when Kurt Warner found Larry Fitzgerald streaking down the field. I had a buddy call me, and then I said, oh, you just jinxed us. 2 minutes to go, and Aaron Francisco took one of the worst angles of all time on a tackle that got them down there before Santonio Holmes hauled it in from Ben Roethlisberger. But tell me, Fitz is a lock to get in, right, for the Hall of Fame. He and Drew Brees, they seem like the mortal locks for this class. Is that what your sense is too, or no?
It probably will be, but I will say this. I think we're getting to the point, especially with the way we could talk about this for an hour, the way the Hall of Fame changed the voting process last year. And it's made it where I'm almost a little reluctant and hesitant to say that anybody is a mortal lock. Those two guys probably are, but you just never know. And especially now, with this process. And when you consider guys that are the 15 finalists, 9 of them were guys who are eligible in their first or second year. So there's a recency bias that seems to be cropping up. How that plays out for the guys who end up being elected, who knows? But it would be a surprise if those guys aren't elected. But what ends up happening when you have these small classes like they did last year, it's keeping guys out who have waited a long time. Guys like Darren Woodson, Willie Anderson, Torrey Holt, who have all been eligible for at least 12 years and keep coming back to the finals, but can't take that next step. But, those guys are tremendous. And what's interesting is with Eli Manning's candidacy, he didn't make the reduction to 10 players last year. We'll see what it is, this year. Ben Roethlisberger comes in as a first-time eligible next year. So as you get more of these, excellent first-time guys, it just makes it difficult for everyone. And, there used to be a thing we called the mic drop, where when it was Peyton Manning or Jerry Smith, the guy who presented him would stand up, holding the microphone, and say, "I present Jerry Smith for enshrinement in the Hall of Fame," drop the mic and sit down. And then the guy leading the discussion would say, anyone want to talk? And no one would say a word. That was a mic drop. I don't know if there's ever going to be a mic drop again if this process remains the way it is, because if you're presenting a guy as a first timer, you've got to go in there saying there is no such thing as a lock, and you've got to show the committee and tell the committee just why that guy that deserves to go in his first year of eligibility.
No, great perspective and insight. He is Howard Balzer, getting ready to conclude his 50th season covering the National Football League and his 45th Super Bowl. He's been a Hall of Fame selector for 23 years. Again, the Cards Wire, Sirius XM NFL Radio, Lindy's Magazine. Always a pleasure, my friend. Enjoy the weekend games, and I'm sure we'll chat down the road.
Sounds good, guys. Enjoyed coming on with you. Take care. Have a good one.
That's Howard Balzer, our guest here on 757 Sports Talk. We've got more coming your way. It's Cove with Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back after this. Stay tuned.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
All right, here with Green Mountain head basketball coach Kenneth Harris. The Stallions win at 63-51 over Kings Fork here at the MABC Showcase Nightcap. Coach, it was a good battle throughout. You were down 3 after 1, got the lead. It was a 1-point game going into the fourth, and you outscored them 24-13 in the fourth quarter. What enabled your finish? Is some of the championship pedigree you gained from a season ago, you think?
I mean, our kids definitely refuse to lose. But, the one thing is, we've made adjustments and me started trusting other kids in crucial moments, what I wasn't doing at first. So, I think that helped. And, towards the end of the game, I felt like our defense picked up. We were rebounding better. And, Kings Fork going to come with it. And we wanted to wear them down. And I felt like we were wearing them down and making them work to get a basket.
And one of those adjustments going back to the lab was after your loss to Lansdowne, you insert Xavier Cleveland's little brother, although he's not really little, Quavon Cleveland in your lineup. He has 8 blocks against Bayside. Tonight he changes some shots, early gets a couple key blocks. What's that done for your rotation and your group in general?
Man, first of all, the kids love Quay, and I think he's brought excitement. They cheer him on, and like you said, he's a presence in that inside, and we were missing that. He's rebounding the ball. I tell him, man, go hard for 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll give it. And then I come in with the other big and Jalen. So, we've decided to play big right now, and I think it's gonna. I'm hoping it works, and I hope we keep going. But if we got to go small, we'll do it too. But like I said, I'm trusting guys now.
Yeah, you bring up Jalen Johnson Truman for you in the pin as well. What's it done for Xavier Cleveland? We know him as a football standout going to Virginia Tech. He has 19 points tonight, MVP honors. What's it done for his game? People can't just focus on him exclusively in the paint?
Oh, and it helps a lot with Xavier and Elijah and Dejour. It helps a lot with playing those bigs because now you got to focus on, you can't just box Xavier out. You got to box 2 or 3 of them out. And it also gets shots for Jews too. So, I think with the inside presence, it does help everybody.
You bring up Burrell Williams and Elijah Ellison, Jules Hyman's for you guys that were on your state championship team a year ago. How about your guards? People know about you graduating Cash Jackson and David Trey Miller, a couple All-State guys. But down the stretch in this game, Malik Gooden for you made some key plays, as did Kevin Whaley Jr., KJ for you, son of a former football standout in the area as well. Those 2 guys have been through the wars, and it showed tonight.
So, it's a work in progress, man. These kids, their roles changed. When we were before the season, we told them, without Cassidy and without David Miller, with Trey, man, we need to find leaders. And now before the games, I tell KJ and Malik, y'all got to do more talking. Y'all got to be leaders out here, whether you playing good or bad. So that's one thing that's happening. We still learning and we still trying to figure it out.
Sure, last 2. Beating this Kings Fork team tonight, what were the keys for you going in? They obviously have a talented group, but it felt like you did a lot of things you probably have on the checklist as far as trying to keep them minimized from having the big run, if you will.
Yeah, limit their threes, man. They shoot the ball well. They get in the paint well. Melvin gets in the paint well. And be physical. That was our goal, to be physical with them today.
Lastly, in Class 5 Region A, it remains to be seen if you get the number 1 seed, but you are coming off a state championship run. You've won region championships here. You have a target on your back, being green right now with that. Do you embrace that, enjoy that, and how do you go at it this year with this group? Maybe not expectations for some, but Green Run does have an expectation to compete for a championship.
We definitely have a target on my back. I've noticed that every game we play in. I enjoy it. That's what we coach for. When I come out, and even when we played Lansdowne and I see the crowd, and playing against Dane, I embrace those moments, man, because they don't last forever. So for me to be coaching in situations like this, and doing it, man, I just enjoy the moment for real. I'm a competitor, so I'd rather be competing, and I know every coach that I'm like, even Coach Height, they come into play, so I enjoy those competition moments.
And he can't wait until Noah Harris arrives at Green Run. Thank you so much on the win. We'll see you soon.
Noah Harris will be here next year, but we got a lot more coming with him.
All right, congratulations.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back with you on 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. We played Kenneth Harris because that was win 299. He got win number 300 this week against First Colonial in his career. So congratulations to him on that accomplishment, that achievement, if you will. We've got coming up in just a few minutes, Chuck Culpepper, the Washington Post, will stop by to discuss the College Football National Championship with the Hoosiers of Indiana and the Hurricanes of Miami. Big one coming up on Monday night. But before we bring in Chuck, and I know Ed's got to take a quick moment to take care of something, so I'll talk to Chuck here solo. You got a quick thought on the championship game, Ed, before we go to break? Indiana-Miami. I know you've looked at this game. Who's going to win this game? Your thoughts on this game? It's going to be interesting to see what plays out Monday night. We have a lot of local flavor, 757 style, with LeBron Bond, wide receiver from Maury, running back Kalon Black from Salem High and Virginia Beach, who's gotten a little more playing time. Bond's a true freshman. Black's been, in the program and was at JMU with Kurt Signetti, among others like Stephen Daly and Tyreek Tucker and Aiden Fisher, the leading tackler on the team at the linebacker spot from Riverbend High in Fredericksburg. This is an Indiana team that's representing VA in the championship game against the Hurricanes of Miami, coming up on Monday night, led by Carson Beck and Mario Cristobal quarterback and coach combo for the U, as they'll have Michael Irvin going up and down that sideline, screaming and hollering, raising Cane.
Hurricanes. He will be raising. Hey, I do want to give my congrats to Kenny Harris on number 300, also in the victory total for career. So good job, Coach Harris. I know Matt and I get on you a lot, but trust me, it's out of great friendship, and you're somewhat underrated as a pretty damn good coach. So keep doing what your thing is. And I'm trying to get Noah to switch to Smithfield, but it's been really tough to do. So.
Won't you have Ham out there? You can bribe him with ham.
I take him to the Smithfield packing plant. I said, "This can be all yours, Noah." And and his mom, Nuki, said, if you're going to put food out here, you have a better chance of recruiting Kenny than Noah.
Oh,
that's just what she said. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
So,
wow. Yes, the one was intended, Woody. Woody caught that. It went over Ed's head, but nice job, Woody.
I just said, when he said raising Cane, I said, right. I said hurricanes.
Yeah, I know.
So
go ahead.
Get on board or get off the train, one or the other.
He's feisty today, folks. He's feisty. Go ahead.
The Indiana Hoosiers. Well, I'm on Indiana Hoosiers. They'll beat Miami. Now, I've heard people lately say,
give me a score. Give me your score. And if you're out there watching with us on IG, X, Twitter, Facebook, we want your scores. Give us your score. In fact, like we did in the old Virginia Preps Classic days, we're not doing one this year. If you get the score on the button, on the nose, I will send you something. I can't promise what it is. It might be a T-shirt. It might be a gift certificate.
Be careful, winner. He'll be sending you. Check the shirt.
Hey, it might be one of these cupcakes that I got to enjoy yesterday. That was a great cupcake. I was brought a nice carrot. Oh, it's great. Carrot cake cupcake. It was awesome, folks. Love it.
He's already. He's got a new little bit of. I should spill the beans.
Go ahead, do it. Go ahead. You've been wanting to all morning. Just do it. Get it out of the way now. Do it.
And the reason I want to spill the beans is he made these little kids bring him goodies.
I did not.
Yes,
this was
Matt
no.
Hatfield,
I was brought in the office by a parent who brought. Don't even lie. You're lying to the audience out there.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, this knucklehead now has joined my world. He is a substitute teacher. Unbelievable. And he is in with the kiddies, but he told the kiddies, bring him goodies. And the kids, there he is.
Look what they did to me. They tore me apart. I got bloodied and battered.
I told him he was going to have a bully in one of the classes. And this is what a kindergarten kid did to him. A kindergarten kid.
Yeah.
Took Matt down with a pow-pow.
In the library. In the library. Gave me a couple knocks. Yeah.
Unbelievable. He has now joined what I am. I'm a substitute teacher at Smithfield after 42 years of being regular teaching, so to speak. So
it's not that hard, ladies and gents. Ed gets up here and moans and belly aches. It is, like I said, it's a piece of cupcake. It's an easy gig.
Yeah, that's because you haven't been. I can't wait to see you substitute in one of the Norfolk schools. That's what.
No, I'm only in Virginia Beach right now. That's where I live. Where I reside.
Okay.
And the folks at Virginia Beach Public Schools are fantastic. I got to shout them all out, from David Rhodes and Dr. Robertson on down. No, I'm not kissing Fanny. I'm just saying they take care of me nicely. That's all I'm going to say. Good people.
Indiana will beat Miami. I'm going to go 30-21.
What was your score?
30-21 Indiana.
30-21 Indiana's your pick.
Now, everybody's starting to get a little hostile about, wait a minute, Miami's playing at home. Well, that's where the game was already set up. So get over that part.
And we'll bring this up with Chuck. The game's going to be like a home game for Indiana, though, because they're going to have so many fans in their alumni base, which is out the wazoo.
You will have more red in the crowd than you will have Miami orange and green.
It's going to be out the wazoo.
And Miami,
at the end of the day, you got the Hoosiers making the Canes look like me, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. And Miami does not. I don't think their crowd base in Miami is as good as what Indiana, University of Indiana does in terms of backing their team. University of Miami sports traditionally does not have they have a very passionate fan base, but it's not a bigger fan base. That's just the way things go in Miami. it's kind of a different vibe in that city. They'll have their people there, and Miami is very good on the field. That defense that's the Houston Texan defense in the college level. They're quick up on the line. They're great in the corners, and they can put some points on the board too. I just think it's Indiana's dream season. That's just how I look at it. They execute all the way around. They play so well together. Signetti's done a tremendous job. I think they top it off with a national championship.
All right, so there you have it. Ed's got 30-21 in favor of the Hoosiers. I'll wait and give you my score prediction at the end of our show. We did the NFL picks. And by the way, Ed will crow. He's 2-1. I'm 1-2 after one round of NFL playoff picks. Never mind that I had the best regular season total by going 500 at 27-27 to Ed's 22-32, while Bruce was in the middle at 24-27. But Mr. Pearl was a perfect 3-0, baby, in round one of the playoffs. So Bruce is the leader in the clubhouse, 3-0. He had Bills, Pats, Texans. He's stuck in the AFC and had winner, chicken dinner. All right. Ed's got the dog wanting to go out. He's also got to take care of a quick meeting. I've got coming up when we return, Chuck Culpepper, the Washington Post. So delighted to talk with us about the Hoosiers and the Hurricanes coming up on Monday night in the College Football National Championship. You're watching Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and always subscribe. And we'll be back in just a moment. But we got to get some Chicho's Pizza in before we have Chuck on. So stay tuned.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why parents count on CHKD Sports Medicine, advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries just for young athletes like yours. With convenient locations across Hampton Roads and a whole team of experts here to keep your favorite player at the top of their game. CHKD Sports Medicine. Learn more at chkd.org or call the CHKD Sports Injury Hotline.
Cova Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 Bacon Cheeseburger Meal Deal. Now, for a limited time on the $7 Meal Deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
What does happiness mean to you?
Being in the ocean with you, watching you catch super fun waves.
In Virginia Beach, happiness is breaking barriers and savoring the sunshine.
I couldn't pick a better place or a better person to be with. This is what makes me happy.
Happiness is going all out.
And taking it all in.
Here, happiness is whatever you make it. Find yours in Virginia Beach.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here is Matt Hatfield.
And welcome you back to 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and interact with us wherever you are, as we now are joined by a special guest. He is the decorated columnist for the Washington Post. He covers everything for the Washington Post, from college football and college basketball to tennis, golf, everything in between. He got his start, of course, doing a lot of work in the 757 Suffolk Sun many, many years ago. He is the one and only Chuck Culpepper. Chuck, thanks for stopping by. Big championship game on deck, Indiana and Miami. You'll be there to cover it with the Hoosiers and their Hurricanes. A lot of fun in store, it looks like.
Yeah, good morning, Matthew. I think out of the 12 championship games in the playoff era so far, this one is, I think, the most exciting in the run-up. I think everyone's like thrilled to see sort of what's going to happen, especially with this still somewhat of a mystery team, Indiana, that's just rolled over Alabama and Oregon by a combined, I think it was 94-25 in the two playoff games. So there's a lot to it. And I think it being in Miami adds something further. The other time a playoff title game was in Miami was the 2020-21 COVID year. So it wasn't not a real one. So I think there's a lot of people are distraught because it's only 65 degrees. But other than that, I think it's great.
I know one of the things you love about sports, as do I, is the storylines. And you think about Indiana, and the first thing that pops to mind as well is basketball. The general, Bob Knight, the red sweater. We're talking about football here, not basketball. But to be one of the worst programs as far as winning percentage ever for FBS or Division I, and now have this incredible turnaround in just 2 years under Kurt Cignetti, who's been bold, he's been brash, but he's backed it up here with the results. You think of these stories, Cinderella stories. I think of in pro football, Kurt Warner from stocking grocery shelves. You think of the New England Patriots a couple years later when they were an under 500 team, and they went on to win the first of many Super Bowls that they had with Tom Brady, then a fill-in, who became the man, and Bill Belichick as the coach. And you think of other team sports that are college basketball like NC State in the 1980s, Villanova shocking Georgetown. If Indiana does this, though they're the big favorite going into Monday night, which is rare to think about them being favored against Miami, which its history of championships from the days of Howard Schnellenberger and Jimmy Johnson and then Larry Coker when they had a great team in the 2000s. Would this rank as one of the best stories ever? Where would it place for you? Do you have a spot for it?
I think it would be the best college football story ever. I think it would be more than a title. It would kind of find its way into, discussions among all sports and for where its prominence might be. I think it would be 16-0, which we haven't seen yet we've seen it in other divisions, but not in the top FBS. And I think your Rams Warner comparison is the very best one I've heard so far. I had not given that one thought. I was at a game in 1999 in Cincinnati between the Rams and Bengals where they were the two worst teams of that decade. And I think they were either tied or within a game of each other. And we were joking about this will decide who's on the bottom, and that's where the Rams were. And then, that same year, it kept going, and it was early in the season. I think it made them 4-0 or something. It kept going, and they won the Super Bowl. So I think that's a great comparison to sort of this, not just an afterthought, but something after an afterthought. Nobody thought about Indiana in this way at all. And to have them beat whom they've beaten, and, Ohio State was a fabulous team. And that was one of their, that was 13-10 before these romps got going. But they beat Illinois 63-10 when Illinois was ranked number 9. It's something that I think defies explanation in a way. And it is definitely the greatest college football story if they win this.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with it. And, going back to that comp of the Rams and Warner, ended up doing a movie about it, American Underdog, and Zachary Levi playing Kurt Warner. And certainly the star characters, if they make this into a movie, which it feels it's going to be, regardless of the outcome, you've got Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, who's got more touchdown passes than incompletes in this playoff run. And then you have Kurt Cignetti, the coach. I mean, I don't know if we're getting Billy Bob Thornton or Dennis Quaid or whoever. We joked Coach Juggalo on the show last week who to play him in the movie. But this story is remarkable. On the other side, you have a pretty neat story too in Miami, which felt like, are they back? Mario Cristobal keeps deflecting. That question, whether it's posed by Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter or whoever in the media, he hates it. But, in a lot of ways, the same type of approach and mentality as Signetti. 1-0. He's not the most friendly, smile, happy-go-lucky, easy interview guy, yet they're having a formula for success, and their line play is going to be a big deal in this matchup here, Chuck. Which more intrigues you? What Indiana does with its offense and throwing it with Mendoza and his efficiency, or Miami's physicality, because they ran the ball at will, and the numbers didn't probably fully tell the story properly, just how well they physically, it felt like, manhandled Ole Miss, a really good SEC team, in the semifinal game. What more intrigues you, the line play of Miami and physicality, or Indiana's ability to spread it out and Mendoza just being accurate, dink, dink, dink?
I think it's that line play of Miami, and I think it's the thing that makes Miami a threat in this game, I believe. I don't see this as looking like the 38-3 of Indiana, Alabama, or the 56-22 of Indiana, Oregon. I see this as closer, and that's why I think it's that line play. Indiana operates on this great precision like we've almost never seen at times. These routes and these timed passes, and just, it's beautiful to see. It really is. And here is, I think, the unit, the Miami line, perhaps most capable of disrupting that we've seen. So that's where I'm going to be looking.
And Miami having this stretch here where they've beaten Texas A&M, they've beaten Ohio State, like Indiana did, although the Hoosiers did it in the Big Ten Championship. They beat Ole Miss, and there were questions about, did they belong? Would they get in? Did they deserve to get in? The whole argument, them and Notre Dame. That's still, you think, in the forefront of minds here? Or are we now at the point where it's championship game, push that to the side? It's the last 60 minutes of football or plus if it requires OT. What's your feeling and sense as you get into the game here and look at the matchup? Because that's been something Miami's used a little bit of a rallying cry, I think, when this playoff started. I'm not sure if it still sticks with them.
I think it's maybe 41 days ago that decision came down, that Sunday noon decision. And I think we left it behind, most people, for a lot. I think it's going to pop back if they win this, and they're going to say, the story's going to say Miami, the last team let into the field, won the title. And I think that that's going to be remembered. I don't ever like saying that it justified the decision. I thought the decision was the right one, but maybe came about in an awkward way. And that's what made it so harsh to some. But I don't ever like to say that what happens afterward justifies what decision was made. I don't think it should work that way. You should look at the merits of what happened before, to justify. But I think that's how they're always going to be remembered, or one of the ways, as that number 10 seed that won the whole thing.
How do you think the Georgia people are processing this, watching Carson Beck play for a national championship? They had that stretch where they were going for a three-peat, and they lost last year to Notre Dame in the playoff. They fall this year in a close game to Ole Miss. Here's Beck, the former UGA quarterback, who got himself a bundle to go to Coral Gables and play for the Canes. What do you think the Georgia people are thinking? And how's Miami looking at this matchup with Beck against that Indiana defense too? Because the Hoosiers defense has been overshadowed in some respects by what Mendoza and that offense has done, but they've been mighty, mighty consistent.
Yeah, the Hoosiers defense is fantastic, really, and aggressive, and and tough, and everything you'd want, really. And yeah, I think the Georgia people I know are still going to watch. Okay. I'm not sure if they had. I'm not sure if anybody gets enough time anymore with the way players move to really deeply love these guys like it used to be. I do think there will be a lot of Georgia fans who will be happy for him if he pulls this off. And I think, there were stretches of that Mississippi game where he struggled, and I think he threw 4 interceptions in a home loss to Louisville in October. He's played fabulously. He played really well against Ohio State. Very impressive. And but I think there is that question coming up about, will the errors find their way in? And will Indiana, in sort of the way that it did against Oregon, will it, be able to exploit those? As you remember, the first play from scrimmage is a pick six and a touchdown and a terrific read by D'Angelo Pons, the corner on that play. That kind of thing would, if you remember Beck, I just remember last season when I went to Georgia, I think they played Tennessee. Much of the press conference after Kirby Smart was, defending his guy. And that was sort of the way it was for a spell with Beck, which is people have used to be hard on quarterbacks. Now they're harder on quarterbacks. So I think there's still maybe a few questions around him that he can, shut down if he plays great and wins this.
A few minutes here with Chuck Culpepper. He is the outstanding columnist for the Washington Post. Give him a follow on the X, or the Twitter as they call it. And you can find Chuck on the X or the Twitter at Chuck Culpepper1. Read his work in the Washington Post online. Get yourself a copy. It is 757 Sports Talk, powered by Cova Sports TV, as we get ready for the national championship game with the Hoosiers of Indiana and the Hurricanes of Miami, as Indiana installed as a pretty hefty favorite in this one. Opened at 7.5. I think the line currently is now 8.5 as we get you set for kickoff of this game. Chuck, another thing that jumps out to me is the results of these championship games. We've had some really good playoff games. There have been a couple of duds, and Indiana's been able to make a couple of these games lopsided. But read you some of the recent scores here, and since the playoffs started in 2014, this is just in recent years. Buckeyes beat Notre Dame last year 34-23. Michigan beat Washington 34-13. Not that close a game. Georgia over TCU 65-7. Georgia over Alabama 33-18. Alabama over Ohio State 52-24. LSU over Clemson 44. Clemson over Alabama 44-16. LSU over Clemson 42-25. And then in 2017-18, it was Bama over Georgia 26-23 in overtime. We really haven't had a stretch of close games since Bama-Clemson and Bama-Georgia from 15 through 17 for 3 straight years. Does the sport need a tight, good championship game, or do you think it doesn't matter all that much? I mean, people are going to watch regardless when the game kicks off, but what's your sense? Do we need a close game for the CFP to kind of have the feel? Because there were some that were arguing, we don't need the expanded format. We don't love this. What's your gut say?
I don't think it's a close game is needed. And I think if Indiana continues to do what it's doing and runs away even a bit with this thing, I think it's going to fascinate people because it's just so unprecedented. It's like this comet that just suddenly came across the sky and just wowed everyone. I think it has that element to it with Indiana's, and I also think that Fernando Mendoza is one of the most likable athletes we've seen in recent years, maybe recent decades. Just completely charismatic. And I think that, in terms also of needing a close game, there's a funny thing going on with college football. And my great colleague, Ben Strauss, wrote about it yesterday, which is that it is said to be unhealthy. It is said to be in chaos. And the ratings are fabulous. So I don't know how quite to read that, but I think people, there are things about it, things about this new set of systems and this new wildness that might even fuel, some of the ratings in a way. I think people are captivated. And one of the things is there's more parity. There was never parity for 150 years, whatever. There's more parity now. So there's more fan bases who tune in and maybe see Indiana, which is an enormous alumni base, maybe the biggest, I think I read somewhere. And then you see other fan bases, I think, who are intrigued by this because maybe it could happen for us as well.
I think you're probably one of the people too that's like me, captivated to see how the crowd's going to be when it's looking like it could be 60-40, 70-30 Indiana in Miami's place that they play, which is also one of the things that's just hard to fathom. Given Miami's got this appeal. You see Michael Irvin everywhere in the sideline. You see Ray Lewis. You see some of their greats they've had that have gone to the NFL, and my goodness, have they had so many of them. But Indiana's, you're right, there's this new kid on the block type of element in Cignetti, just that stoic look and approach. it's something we might not see again. And I don't know that everybody's fully grasped where it is. And to finish up here with you, Chuck, as you watch this game unfold, would the biggest surprise be if it happened the other way, if they were to get blown out? What would be the biggest surprise to you in this championship game if what happened?
Yes, I think by now that is the biggest surprise. If Indiana were to be on the other end of what it has been doing to teams of late, and what it did, during the season to some degree. There were some close games in there, but I just think we've declared that the bye in the 12-team field is bad for teams because the teams who've gotten byes are 1-7 so far, but they bucked that. Mm-hmm. And then the rematch, we don't like those either. I don't really like the rematches in the playoffs either. Yeah, I think it's kind of dull, but the rematches had gone always to the team who lost the first time, almost always. Ole Miss, Tulane being an exception there. And so here came Indiana, Oregon after that. I was at that game in Oregon in October, that hugely impressive win there. And what they did to them just astounded me, on the second meeting. So they bucked that reality too. So I think if they were to lose in some emphatic way, that would shock me the most by now.
Yeah, I'm with you because, I think people want to make college football, other sports. You talk about the buys. People say it's like baseball. They give those teams a break, and it's, well, this isn't baseball. Mm-hmm. Or college basketball, we've expanded the field to 16 or 32. This is an NCAA tournament. We're not going to have a tournament feel like that. College football is unique in its own way, in its core. And here we are with the Hoosiers and the Canes. And what will you remember from the season? Certainly this game will probably stick out at the end. It's the closing chapter of this book. For me, it seems like all these different coaching changes. I know we have NIL in the portal now, but it felt like every weekend we'd get to Sunday or Monday, whatever it was, and James Franklin got the boot, or Virginia Tech's Brent Pry gets the boot, or this guy gets the boot. So many coaching changes now. In some respects, Chuck, it almost has taken on more of a monster field than the NFL, where we see so many coaching changes in the NFL, but it felt like every weekend there was 2 or 3 coaches on the serious hot seat from Power 4 leagues, because now there's an expectation of winning and competing for a spot in this playoff now, which has included so many more teams, whereas years ago we would get to this point. It's like, well, we know the Final Four is going to be some combination of Georgia, LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, and these couple of teams. Now there's so many more teams at play, even your teams outside the Power 4, like your James Madisons of the world.
Yeah, and, I think the buyouts I think people are intrigued by the just colossal size of these buyouts. When you figure Franklin, you figure Brian Kelly's, Mark Stoops at Kentucky. That was a pretty big one in buyout wise. And so I think the story of the season that a lot of people will remember is the idea that a coach left his playoff bound team for one of its most loathed rivals, right at the doorstep of the playoff. I think that's sort of the more drama side of for the story. I think Indiana is going to be the thing that carries it for me. I still, that game between Miami and Mississippi, I was there in Fiesta Bowl, and it was just, it reminded me that the game is still the best thing. The game is still the eminent, it was as if that game was trying to say, hey, I know you're all interested in the transfer portal and what's going to happen and coaching changes and all, but the game is still can compel you and draw you away from all of that. So I think I'm going to remember Indiana for that reason, in just the sense of the football.
Yeah, you're so spot on, because when you get a great game like that, it can be whatever sport it is. You get drama, and it's down to the wire, edge of your seat, and you're not really sure who's going to win, or the team that has the ball last when it comes to a team sport, as opposed to your individual sports like your tennises and your golfs of the world. There's something about that's got its real special feel to it, and has everybody definitely drawn in. Well, he is Chuck Culpepper. Outstanding work he does all the time in the Washington Post. Go pick up a copy and check it out online. And again, you can follow him on the X or Twitter, if you still call it that, at Chuck Culpepper 1. Always a pleasure, my friend. You enjoyed the game, and I will talk again soon.
Thank you, Matthew, so much. Thank you.
Yep, our pleasure. Chuck Culpepper, our guest here, as we preview the college football national championship game coming up on Monday night with the Hoosiers of Indiana and the Hurricanes of Miami. Who's going to take the hardware? Well, we'll find out. We've got more coming your way on 757 Sports Talk. Don't touch that dial. You're watching with us on COVA Sports TV. Like, share, and always subscribe.
Did you know that the minimum limits in Virginia are $30,000? $30,000 is a lot of money on an individual basis, but if you're involved in a personal injury matter, that's not enough. Here at Williams-Deloitte, we're happy to provide a consultation on the amount of coverage you have in your vehicle. It can be confusing. Not many people understand it. You know you need to have it, but do you have enough? Give us a call today at 757-547-5555 so we can help you prepare in the case of an automobile accident or any other personal injury matter that you or your family may find yourself in.
For any athlete, making it to the top sometimes comes with a few steps back. That's why there's CHKD Sports Medicine. Advanced diagnostics, treatment, and rehabilitation for sports injuries, just for young athletes like yours.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us. And the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
All right, here with Lansdowne sophomore guard Damian Robinson, 28 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists as the Eagles defeat visiting Patriot in the Eagle Classic here. A rematch of last year's state quarterfinal. You guys played them in Oaksville, Dame. Today, you're always aggressive to begin games, but it looked like you were extra aggressive. Take me through the thought process and mindset coming in.
So when they came out, I seen a defender that they put on me. They were very confident that he could stop me. So early on, I was like, just get to it, because if he can't stay in front of you, you can get your teammates open early and get to the basket early.
When you're hot like that, you're in a zone, regardless of who's guarding you. You just feel like you just keep going and shooting at scoring. Look, you're attacking more off the dribble. You've been known for coming up as a shooter, but you take more pride in your off the bounce skills, if you will.
Yes, most people still think I'm just a catch and shoot shooter as of last year. But if they watch the film this year, I put the ball on the ground more. I'm more of a point guard this year. I feel like I can get my teammates more involved off the dribble this year and make them better.
It's a rematch of the states, as I mentioned last year. You guys won up there. You know they want revenge coming down here. The lead's 15 in the second half. It gets down to 5. You pick up your third and fourth foul. What's going through your mind there?
I was very worried. The way they were calling the fouls earlier in the game was very shaky. So later on in the game, I started just to rebound, and because I was playing a very on ball pressure at the beginning of the game, and then I had to lack off just a little bit and just help on the rebounding end, because I know my teammates could pick up on the pressure on ball, so I could get rebounds later in the game.
You had 12 rebounds, as I mentioned, 7 assists, but 2 stuck out. You got Alon Walker the ball inside, and you got one at the end of the quarter. They looked to double trap you to Maurice Manigo for a pull-up jumper. Which one do you feel like gave you more momentum, to stop the bleeding or get you guys going into the fourth?
I feel like the one I skipped to Maurice Manigo, because we know like he always works on that shot, and that shot was a big part in the game right there to keep momentum going into the fourth.
Sure, 2 more let you run. You guys win this game. It's a team you could certainly run into in the state tournament again. I mean, a guy in 23 for them, Sean Magical, hits 9 threes. These type of games, do you live for these matchups?
Yes, but no, because we can see them later on, like you said. So we got to just stay humble, level-headed, and wait to see them later in states.
Lastly, you win 2 big games this week. You beat Green Run on Tuesday. You win this one today. What's the feel of the group? You feel like you still can get a lot better, and if so, where?
Yes, we get a lot better on the defensive side. The offense, it comes from the defense. So if we learn how to stop penetrations and get steals and execute on our fast break opportunities, because our fast break opportunities, we're not very good right now. So we got to learn how to get like 3-on-2 opportunities or like 2-on-1 opportunities we have to have.
Well, congrats on the victory. Damian Robinson, a few assists away from a triple-double. They get another W. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
I'm muted. Now we're back here on Cova Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe, and always interact with us. You heard from Damian Robinson of the Lansdowne Eagles after their win over Patriot last Saturday. Almost a triple-double for him, Ed, as he had 28 points, 12 boards, 7 dimes in that win. And it's now time. Well, you can react to that if you like, but do our NFL picks here.
Well, real quick. I didn't get all of Chuck's entire interview. I got bits and pieces of it. The dog was driving me nuts. He wanted eggs and bacon. He went to the refrigerator, hit the refrigerator with his nose. I don't know where he learned this crap at. Now, when he wants something out of the refrigerator, he'll sit by it and he'll hit it with his nose. So I had to make him, gave him some little bacon so he'd stop bothering me. Getting back to Chuck's good point about Miami. I think their line play on the defensive side against Indiana's offensive line, I've given an edge to Miami defensive line. I give an edge to Miami's offensive line against Indiana's defense. So,
right,
battle of the line, I lead towards Miami. And you've always heard me say it here: whoever has the best line playing playoff games is probably going to win it. But I'm going Indiana. What I say, 30-21.
Yeah,
and I'm going against Chuck. Chuck says it's going to be a closer game. But I just think Indiana will score a touchdown or two late when the game is already done. That line play is big, but he also mentioned about how the defense is, unheralded on Indiana, and they're very good. They can make plays. They're all over the field too. And it's just Miami's always been known for their defense. Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, all those type of guys, Russell Maryland, whatever. My thing is, I just think Indiana has enough firepower. And he's right. It's like one of those comets that comes every 100 years and everybody is, infatuated with it.
Sure.
What's it going to do? And I think that's how we're looking at Indiana right now in terms of their.
Understood. All right. Now to the NFL picks for let me give you my pick. You said 30-21. I'll go Hoosiers 35, Canes 20. I feel like Chuck does too. I think it's going to be Indiana winning and covering the number.
So we're in agreement on a high scoring game for Indiana.
We're in agreement. Now let's get to the National Football League, where the picks come your way here now for this particular episode. And it's going to be interesting because right now Bruce Pearl has the 3-0 lead on Ed Young's 2-1 and my 1-2 for the NFL playoffs at the moment. And there's Bruce's picks. He's going to go with the Bills plus the 1.5 against Denver. He's going to go with San Francisco plus the 7. His numbers shifted all week. It's been 7.5, 8.5, 6.5. It's been all over the place. The number keeps floating around. And he's going to go with New England laying the 3 against the Houston Texans. But you get to go first. What's your first choice?
Now, okay, I'm confused. Now, all year long, we can't take what everybody else does, but there's only –
no, you can now. It doesn't matter. You can copycat. And
okay, that's all I need to know.
Once you get to the round of 8, you can copycat. It's okay.
Okay, but we're only picking 3 total, but it can be the same.
3 total. Yep, 3 total. You can, if you like, because we're limited on time here. You can give us your straight up winners too. But
okay, first of all, give me Houston, New England under 40.5.
Oh, I was going to bring it up when we had Howard Balzer on. If you missed that, you can go back and watch it on Cova Sports TV. For all of you folks that are just tuning in now on the Instagram, which I see a number of you are now popping on the IG. It's up there on Cova Sports TV on YouTube. So you're going to go under the 40.5, Patriots and Texans.
Yep, and I'm going to go.
Wait. You get 1 pick. I get 2, and you get 2. I get 1.
Sorry.
You're trying to cheat again. Ed Young's method of operation, folks. Lie if you can, steal if you must, but always cheat. In honor of the late Tony Mercurio, who used to say that. You've adopted it now. That's how you roll.
Would know. Tony would know.
He would know. He would know. All right. So for my first 2, I'm going to copycat Bruce. I'm going to take the Bills plus the 1.5. I just feel like, and we talked about this with Howard, Josh Allen, ball in his hands. Bo Nix is young. And not only that, I know Denver's defense is really good, but Denver's had some sketchy first halves. They slipped by KC. They slipped by this team. They slipped by that team. Remember the Giants game? They were down big and they came rallying back. I don't think you want to play with fire against Josh Allen, who can win the game. And I think James Cook will actually run the ball effectively and be a threat out of the backfield catching some passes. Those tight ends, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. I'm going to go with over. I'm going to go over 44.5 for Seattle San Fran. And the reason being, I think we're so caught up in the low score from the last go-round. I do think, as you heard Howard mention, Trent Williams was out. I think San Francisco will move the ball a little bit better on Seattle. And I don't know that the Niners defense can stop you or me. I don't know how Robert Sala's been getting it done all year. They thought to get Fred Warner back. He's going to be back if they win for next week, I think. But give me this thing going over the total. I think this will be like a 28-24 type of game, 27-20 type of game. I think it'll just squeak over the 44.5. So give me that one for my second choice. You get your next two and your last two.
Okay. Give me the Rams -3.5.
I knew you'd go there against the Bears.
It's the Bears.
This has got bad beat written all over it because Chicago in the fourth quarter, they're like a cat with 9 lives.
That's why the Rams better get rid of them before the fourth quarter or not going to be pretty.
Yeah, and their special teams was dicey against Carolina last week. It might not help them out in this spot.
And I think all three of us are going for the Buffalo one +1.5.
So you're going with that's
I've got Buffalo and the Rams in the Super Bowl, and I think I picked Buffalo beginning of the year to win the Super Bowl. So, like Howard did with Buffalo, going to stay with them, I guess, until they lose. I kind of feel that same way.
So, to recap, Ed's got under 40.5 Texans Pats, Rams -3.5, Bills +1.5. Bruce has got in his picks this week. Wait, that's the wild card round. That's the wrong round. It was Bruce's picks last week, which were winners. This week he's got. We're going to find you the divisional round. Tell you what he has. If I can pull it up here. For some reason, it's disappeared on our screen. We'll locate it in a second. Here we go. Buffalo +1.5, San Fran +7, and New England -3. I've got Bills +1.5, over 44.5 Seattle, San Francisco. And for my last selection with the Rams and the Bears, I'm going to go dangerously on the under 48.5 Rams and the Bears. I don't think it'll get there. I'm going to go contrarian on both of those. See if I can psych out Ed and Bruce because I can't copy them on everything. Nice job you ought to copy on 2 of those. So that's going to do it for the NFL playoff matchups. And for all of our guests this morning, including Howard Balzer, Chuck Culpepper, the Clips with Damian Robinson, Kenneth Harris, Keon Fats Mitchell, Will Adams, and Ricardo Foster. If you missed anything, it's up on Cova Sports TV on YouTube. Have a great weekend, and it's a 3-day weekend for you. Martin Luther King holiday on Monday. Maybe we'll see you out there in the Peanut City with some basketball, huh? Monday night?
It's a good possibility on Monday. It's a good possibility. I got practice in the morning, so I'm free the rest of the day. So
okay.
I'll be out and about.
Ed might be in the lobby signing autographs for 25 cents a pop. We'll catch you next time right here on 757 Sports Talk on Cova Sports TV. See you later.